Hey guys, welcome back to another entertaining cryptocurrency video. Today we're going to be talking about the infamous XRP retirement plan, and I gave it a good little update. So, I do want to say that this video is by no means financial advice. Everything said in this video is purely for entertainment purposes only. Every opinion expressed is purely my own opinion, so take that into the back of your head. Now, for this video, we're also doing the biggest giveaway that I've done in a very, very long time. It is actually going to be a $500 giveaway. It is insane even for me. So, all you gotta do to enter that giveaway is make sure you press the like button on this video right now, because we need 500 likes on there, and make sure you follow my second channel, and it's called Dusty. Maybe you've noticed I've not uploaded in quite a while. There's a lot of things going on here, but make sure you follow my backup account, Dusty. It's gonna be my second channel mostly for possibly different things, maybe the same content depending on what happens. And if this is 1,000 followers or subscribers, we're gonna be giving away $500. If we hit it within let's say 3 days here, we're actually going to bump it up to $1,000. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe on there, because then you've automatically entered. It is going to be insane, guys. But now, if you're talking about a retirement plan, you're of course thinking about 4 main points. At least with my XRP retirement plan, that's what you're thinking about. So you're thinking about your goals. What is it exactly that you want to retire? Do you want to retire at 30? Do you want to retire at 60, 65, 69? What is it that you want? And whenever you retire, how much do you really need? How much do you want to have? Do you want like $2,000 a month, $500, $700, $22,000 a month? Really depends on the situation. Also, do you think that you're gonna, spend lavishly? You're gonna go crazy, or do you just want to have a very sad, simple lifestyle? It all depends on what you want. It's all about your goals. You really gotta have them straight before you start thinking about the other 3 points. Second point, of course, is the XRP price prediction. You really got to have a price prediction in the back of your head to know, of course, how much your XRP is going to be worth. But once you know how much one XRP is going to be worth at a certain time, then you got to, know how much XRP you're going to have at that time. And that's where point 3 comes into place, the amount of XRP that you have. Once you do some mixing and matching, of course, you match all those 3 things up, and bam, you got your retirement plan. And we already did a video about most of these points before, but I actually added a cool point, and hopefully tomorrow we can do a cool live stream going over more and more and more to just really filling this retirement plan to the core, to the fullest, to give you guys all the information that you need to just read through and chillax, accumulate XRP possibly, and just do nothing anymore. But now, let's get into our first point, your retirement goals. And it is definitely interesting when we're looking at the median goals and how much people really get when you retire. I noticed by myself that it's very difficult to analyze what the average amount of money is that a person gets per month in comparison to the amount of money that they spend and how much you would really need. It also depends on how old you want to be when you retire. There were so many variables into place there that I could not grab a very good story for you guys about what your goal should be. It's very, very difficult to predict that for any individual. As an example, you could have your goal to retire at 30 with $2,000 a month, all right? You might have thought to retire at 30 and then live for another 35 years. You die at 65, could be. But it could also be that you retire at 30, you accumulate enough for $2,000 a month, and you die at 105, leaving you with $0 per month for the last 40 years or so, so you miscalculated there. So it's really difficult to know what you need to stop or how much you really need. There's a lot of things that go into that, so make sure you spend some time really thinking about your retirement goals, like how much do you want a month, how much do you think you'll be spending a month, all those things. Put them into maybe a little bit of a paper as well. Maybe we need to add a little bit of space here for you guys to fill it in, maybe like a text box, so you can fill in your own goals to make it simpler. Now B, how much money do you want to retire or to have to retire early? And we noticed that in our previous video, we were discussing about 100,000, 500,000, a million, 5 million, yada, yada, yada. We noticed definitely that $100,000, yeah, that ain't gonna cut it, all right? You can think about any amount of money that you want to get a month. Let's say you want to go for $2,000 a month, which is really quite high. But of course, you're only going to be able to live for 50 months then, because 50 times 2,000 is of course 100,000. And if you think about 50 divided by 12, yeah, it's not looking that good, right? You're living for a little bit more than 4 years, and then you're out of money. So thinking about that, you're obviously going to need quite a large sum of money if you want to live for more than 40 years with a nice little retirement every month. And again, that's where the Michigan Magic comes in. But as an example, we just took a $1 million amount here. Again, to keep in mind, this is relatively low. It is not on the lower spectrum, but it is relatively low to what your goals might be. Now, go to point 2. What is your XRP price prediction? And as you can see right now, it was 0.3695. This has already been quite a time ago since I made this spreadsheet or this paper. It's not an econometric paper anymore, I believe, but it's just a retirement plan. Back then the price was this, but it doesn't really matter what the price is at this given time. It just depends on what you think the price will go to at any given point that you want to retire at. So let's say your price prediction is $1, $10, $50, $100, $589. Doesn't matter for shit. You can choose anything really. You just gotta then, if the price were still $36.95, you would have to do your quantity times this amount times that amount times 135. So if it went from this price, which is almost 37 cents, towards $50, you could do any amount of XRP that you had into this formula, which is times 135, meaning that's the amount of money that you would have then afterwards. Then in point 3, of course, you gotta fill in that Q, that quantity right there, with the amount of XRP that you wish to accumulate when you are going to retire. We also chose 50,000 here just to make it easy, and of course you can just literally pick it up and fill it in there and be done. But let's say as an example you choose these things, you can then look into this graph, look at the quantity and the prices, and you can easily see how much money you're gonna get or how much money we're talking about here. So as an example, if you have 500 XRP, which is gonna be very difficult to retire with, you would need the price to go to like, let's say $500 or $600 per coin, which is relatively high in my personal opinion, to really have something to work with. All right, $2,000 or how much is this? $300,000 is a lot of money, definitely so. But if you're using all of that to retire, it is going to be, on the lower side. It is going to be quite difficult to really live for that many years, unless you're of course getting another few extra things. This depends per person and per country. So difficult to explain for every different country that I just tried to exclude it here for simplicity purposes. But let's say we're going on the bigger end of the spectrum. We're looking at 20 to 25,000 XRP. If it only goes then to, if it goes to $50, then you're looking at a $1.25 million pension. And that's kind of the region where we're starting to look into really okay amounts of money. Again, you kind of got to calculate it for yourself to know what will work, what won't work, since it looks like huge numbers now, but once you really start to understand how quickly this all goes, it is really not that much. Let's give you guys another example. Let's say you want to retire at, let's do 60 for simplicity purposes, and you live to become 100, right? So you're estimating that you're going to live of retirement for 40 years. That's 40 times 12. That is going to be 480 months that you're going to have to supply yourself with up front here. So of course there's things that have to do with wealth preservation and also accumulation here with what you're going to do with the money once you have it now. But let's not talk about that too much. Let's talk about here, you have the money, nothing happens to it, you're not thinking about inflation whatsoever. You're talking about $500,000 and your money just moves exactly with inflation, right? So your money's going up 2% a year, but the prices go up as well. So you have the same purchasing power. $500,000, which you have here, going from 60 to 100 will result you in about $1,000 a month, right? Because we're talking about 480 months, you have 500,000, that's about $1,000 a month, a little bit more. You get the idea. If you say it like that, it doesn't sound like that much, and that's when you're starting to look into these bigger numbers, 1.25 million, because that's, of course, already going to supply you with the double. It's kind of crazy, but it really gives you a double amount of money a month, which is going to be around $2,000, $2,500 a month. That's really when you're starting to look into good numbers, and it's really when you can live quite happily, I would say, really without any worry in the world. If you're having $2,500 a month, I think you could really work with that quite well. It depends on per person, per situation, but you get the general idea. Of course, all you got to do is pick a Q and a P, and you're actually already set. So you got to set a quantity and a price. That's basically what you need to do. Step 5 is, of course, to retire. It's really quite simple. Now, before we get into the new points, which I've just made now because I thought about them and I was like, we really got to add that type of stuff to our plan. Let's quickly give you guys the easiest spreadsheet in the world to calculate the amount of money that you would need, things like that. And again, this is all for entertainment purposes only, alright? Please do not use this as financial advice, as it is not. It is purely for entertainment purposes only. Let's say your amount of XRP is 20,000, like Vincent Wilson says, and you predict that the price will go to, I don't know, you think it will going to be to 28.69. That's what you think the price is going to go towards. We need to do a comma since it is in European standard. You're going to be left with $573,000 for your retirement. And again, this depends on when it's going to be. All those numbers you need to fill in for yourself, but it's a general rule of thumb here to give you guys an indication about how much money you would have and things like that. Let's say, all right, you've been stacking up really well since this 20,000. It is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. It is a lot of money, but it is doable to get. It's definitely doable to get 20,000 in a couple of years if you really put your mind to it. And if you're in, you have a job possibly, or you're good at saving, things like that, 20,000 XRP is definitely possible to achieve within a couple of years. But let's say you're a little bit more eager to have a good retirement. You really want to get it. You think you're going to accumulate 59,654 XRP. You still think the same price. We're already looking at 1.7 million, in this case euros, because I put everything in euros, but you can also do the exact same thing in dollars. You're already looking at $1.7 million, and that's when you really start to look at a pretty good retirement, to my personal opinion. Again, these things can change to every man. If you don't want to do it this way, right, you're like, man, shut up with your amount of XRP that I will have. I don't know how much will have. I just know I want $5 million. I want to have $5 million to retire right now. I know the price is going to be $100. That's like a simpler calculation. But how much XP do we need right now? Simple enough, 50,000. All right. I want $4 million to retire, and I think the price is going to be, let's do $11 or $14. Let's do. You're going to need 285,714.3 XRP to retire with $4 million whenever it hits $14. It's really simple, really intuitive as well, but it just takes one, you just need to look at it once to really understand how simple it actually is. And a lot of you guys commented like, if any person cannot make this calculation, they shouldn't be investing. Well, it's actually something that a lot of investors really don't like to think about because it's such a positive scenario. So, like, retiring with a coin that like XRP is really something that a lot of people don't imagine ever being possible. And I think that's one thing that makes these videos so important, is to just give people another perspective to look at these coins for the longer term and to really make some people happier with their day. It's not really doing any harm to talk about these plans, as you can fill in exactly what you think is going to happen. There's literally nothing pre-filled for you. If you think the price is going to go to 0.01 and you have this amount of XRP, like 5 million of XRP, but you think it's going to go to 1 cent, well, you're going to be left with 54,000 euros or dollars. It's possible. You can fill in whatever you want. There's literally no harm in showing this and talking about it, as a lot of people don't seem to think about the end goal there. Now, the reason I actually decided to make another update on this video is because I was really looking into wealth management and really looking into what the best options are and really growing myself personally. And I noticed that a lot of people get stuck after their accumulation phase. So let's say, of course, you got your $1 million, your 2.5, your $14 million, whatever you want. What are you going to do then, right? In XRP, you got your 5 million, whatever amount you have. Should you sell your XRP then? That's a very, very good question that just popped into my mind when I was, looking more into the management thing. And I noticed that it's really, really quite simple to discuss with you guys. So this fully depends on how you would like to preserve your wealth. This also depends on the amount of risk you're willing to take, and there's another few factors. Are you into volatility? So would you like the volatility to reward? Like, as an example, we could go for cash, which would have a very low volatility, low risk here meaning that you're going to have a return which is unchangeable, really. So a return that you cannot get back from. Let's say you had $1 million and you go to, let's say, 5,000, right? That's a return that you cannot make up for. I don't know the best way to explain it in English, but you guys get my idea there. That's risk. Volatility is going to 800,000. You start at $1 million, you go to 800,000, and then go to 2 million, right? That's volatile. That's volatility. You can go for cash as an example, meaning You will have inflation, of course, but the risk will be relatively low. Volatility, I mean, where's that? And definitely a good option to be kind of stable, right? So you can switch all of this over in our third point or seventh point of cashing out to dollars. You're relatively stable. But keep in mind that once upon a time, there's hyperinflation, like, how long was it ago in America? Like 80 years ago, we had the big hyperinflation, the big crisis. Things like that happen every so often, all right? So there is a risk, but it's really, really tiny. Then you could go for things like, as an example, growth stocks or even value stocks, for example. But let's talk about growth stocks. And what you're then doing is actually upping the risk a little bit, definitely upping the volatility quite a little bit, but also upping your return on investment. So with cash, your money's not really going to grow that much. It's kind of going to stay the same, really, but it's kind of a safe one. With growth stocks, as an example, your money's already flowing up a little bit, hopefully, but of course, there's more risk and more volatility involved. Then, of course, you're going to look into different bundles of stocks or different types of cryptocurrency there, where the risk just keeps going up and the volatility possibly keeps going up as well, but your reward also becomes greater. And that's what you're seeing with XRP a lot and with a lot of these other cryptocurrencies, is that it really depends on the amount of risk that you are willing to take with this amount of money. If you're already golden, let's say you're in this bigger region of $50 million, what I would personally most likely do is actually make sure I grab, let's say, 5 out of that. And since almost any investor would, of course, split it into different things, I would definitely have a cash reserve, which could be close to 10%, could be 30%, depending on what your personal opinion about that is. But make sure you have something to really fall back on that has very, very low risk, so you can at least live your life normally if shit hits the fan really, really heavily. That's what I personally would recommend anybody that's like me to do, right? I would recommend myself that. Again, I cannot give financial advice. I would recommend myself to do such a thing. Now, what then there's to talk about as well is you can cash everything out. You can cash out $50 million, sure, but what are you going to do then, right? You're going to still have to make choices to make sure that this $50 million doesn't become $20 million in the next 10 years, because that's not what you would like to happen. And thus we're going to have to look into things, and that's where I thought that you should just take out as much as you really, really need, and then to preserve or really to accumulate even more wealth, I think XRP could actually be a very, very good decision again, because if it already got to, let's say, $100 that it got to, could it then go to $200? I mean, the chance is quite there, right? If it already got to $100, that it can still go up. It's a market. So yeah, that's what I kind of was thinking about. But my 7th point here, which is actually the last point of our plan as well, is the cashing out part. So if you're not really into the holding cryptocurrencies because they're too dangerous for you, or all those other options sound better to you, like growth stocks and things like that, which you need cash for, you can go ahead and cash out, right? There's multiple ways to do so, but I went to look up a little bit on the internet what the best way is to do such a thing. Note, to sell your XRP, you'll need to know how to send coins from their storage place, wallet, or account to an exchange. And if you actually have no place to store your coins yet, you're storing on an exchange right now, I recommend you guys all to check out the link in the description below for Ledger wallets, right? I personally promote those things because I really enjoy them. I'm using it every single day, day in, day out, to store my coins because it just works that way. If you have your coins on exchanges, there's actually chance that something happens to the exchange where you lose your money. If you have it on your own wallet, that won't really happen. So that's why I always recommend to keep your money to yourself, where you can just kind of feel it instead of handing it over to an exchange to handle it for you. Since you're sending it to their wallet, it is actually kind of their money and not your own. Keep that in the back of your head. Just to go to the wallet or account and send the amount of XRP you would want to sell over to the appropriate address. Remember that the XRP can take a while to show up in the exchange account, and the following exchanges allow the deposit XRP and withdraw USD. Each name in the list links to the exchange's sign up page. Here's a couple of ones. This is all from one website that I found all of this info, this last part here. Bitfinex, Bitstamp, Xmo, GateHub, Bitsane, Kraken. Bitfinex, Bitstamp, and Kraken I know a lot about. GateHub I know a little bit about. Xmo and Bitsane I personally never use, so I cannot give you guys any info on that. Bitstamp, Bitfinex, they do the job, right? But you're not that confused, like, all right, but which one, can give me a debit card withdrawal, which won't give me a wire transfer. Well, we put it all into this sheet here. And actually, I've not done that, but I got it from this Cointelegraph article here, which has a lot of information, but I try to grab the most important stuff for you guys, which you really need to know about. They said how to sell Ripple for USD or Bitcoin, but, you know, personally, I do not like to call it Ripple as we're talking about XRP, and it is all in here. Bitstamp, the XRP deposit is free of charge, and a lot of them are free to put on there, but some take a little bit of money. Cash withdrawals to USD on Bitstamp is a $3.45 fee. A lot of them do not accept that, which is kind of understanding. Debit card withdrawal, again, you can see what it takes to get that done. Wire transfer withdrawal, you can see what it takes to get that done. And advanced cash withdrawal, you can see what it takes. This section of info is from Cointelegraph, as I said before. But is there more? Well, there is always more to add to such a plan, and that's definitely what we'll be updating you guys with relatively soon. But I'm hoping to actually be able to do a live stream tomorrow, maybe at around 1 p.m. Amsterdam time, depending, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe 12 p.m., to just talk about this plan possibly, or talk about something else with you guys, or talk about the issues that I've had over the couple of weeks here, to inform you all. But make sure you follow my second channel, Dusty. Right, I have it linked here. I'll also link in the description below. Make sure you guys check it out. And also a special shout out to Delta K for actually giving us a suggestion in our previous video. He said, "Hey Dusty BC, I saw your XRP retirement video. Good stuff. Just an idea for the future video. You could also add the fees and the best places to convert our XRP to US dollars, along with a plan to do so." And again, the plan to do so is actually quite simple. You just grab your XRP, you put it on the exchange and switch it over. The amount of money just depends on how much you really got and how much the exchanges accept per time. You could also use Coinbase as an example, but yeah, guys, we're going to actually have to talk about that a little bit more, as there are hard things. Wow, it's difficult to exchange large amounts of money, and that's again why I also talk to you guys about should you sell your XRP, since maybe at the point when we're this quote-unquote rich, you know, if the plan works out, which we're trying to make here, it could also be that XRP spending, in the literal sense of just going with your XRP card and spending it everywhere, is going to be the most normal thing in the world, right? Maybe a lot of, like 1 billion people are using it daily already. It could be, and maybe you never need to switch over to US dollars, and that's actually one of the things that a lot of us are hoping for, and that might in turn leave this last option non-existent, not used, which is also why I wanted to leave it for the ultimate end, and why I also did not put the amounts of XRP or amounts of money that you can transfer per time, as it is kind of a fragile thing to talk about. But if you would like it, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll definitely take it into consideration to see what I can add to that. Also, do you like those live streams? Do you think I should live stream tomorrow? Explain to you guys why these weeks have just been messed up completely for me. Let me know in the comment section down below. And also make sure that if you watched all the way till the end, make sure you comment goals in the comment section, because I just want to know how many people watch these videos all the way through. Thank you guys all for watching. Take care of yourselves. Have a splendid, amazing day. I hope you guys all have. And I'm very, very fortunate and happy to be able to make another video for you guys. Even if this is my last video on this channel ever, I really was happy that you guys all watched my stuff, man. I really appreciate it all. So thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you hopefully again in another crypto video. Take care, everybody, and have a nice day.